Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Mike Bass back again with another great Thursday out there so far. Hope everybody continues to stay safe and well. Also, have a great Thursday afternoon and also enjoy the weather because it's the only weather you got. Okay, in today's video, we're going to be talking about the satellite loop across the lower 48. We're going to take a look at the weather radar across the nation. Also, we're going to take a look at the watches, warning, and advisory map for your location. Also, we're going to take a look at the Storm Prediction Center outlook for today, Friday, and Saturday. And also, we're going to take a look at the CIPS analog or CIPS analog for the next 8 days. And it's going to be a very, very active severe weather for the next 8 days, according to the CIPS analog for the central and eastern portions of the United States. So get ready, folks. We're fixing to go into a very stormy pattern coming up over the next 8 days. But if you're a new viewer and have not subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing. Love to have you. Like these videos, share these videos, and let's go ahead and get into the meat of the forecast. And this is the forecast satellite loop for the lower 48. Alrighty. You can see on the satellite loop, we got a couple clusters of showers and storms, one moving through Kentucky down into Tennessee in this area here, pretty much across Oklahoma and Texas and Arkansas and Louisiana. The storm systems are just riding around the ridge and continue to just go around like this. The high pressure ridge was over here, over Texas. It just slowly shifted to the east. Now it's parked over here in East Texas and also portions of Arkansas and Louisiana and Mississippi. And these systems are just continuing to rotate around the ridge of high pressure. So as this ridge continues to shift a little further to the east, these storm systems are going to keep rotating around, and it's going to come down through portions of Indiana, Ohio, West Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, down into Georgia and Florida. That's why the CIPS analog or CIPS analog is keeping that severe weather probability right in this general vicinity here. Pretty much from Minnesota to Texas, eastbound. You'll see it at the end of this broadcast on the CIPS analog. Alright, we got a system out that looks like the remnants of Tropical Storm Cindy being pulled to the north, but no impact to the United States. Maybe a little bit of rain and gusty wind later on to Nova Scotia, Newfoundland region up here. Got a little bit of scattered activity off the coast, nothing to worry about there. A little bit of scattered activity down toward Cuba. Got a little system down here in the south of western portion of the Caribbean Sea, nothing to worry about there, and just some scattered activity over Canada there as well. Alright, you can see a little better on the imagery of the weather radar here across the nation. You can see we got showers, thunderstorms up here in southeast Canada and also up into Maine, also over toward Newfoundland and also Nova Scotia region. Had to think there for a minute. But anyway, I got scattered activity over the coastal waters, over in the Atlantic coastal waters offshore, all the way down to the Atlantic coastal waters off the southeast coast, down toward the Bahamas. We got an area. There's that little cluster of showers and storms you've seen over Tennessee and Kentucky and also up toward Indiana area there. Dive down. So you guys in Georgia and Alabama, you may get in on some severe weather this afternoon as the system moves down to the south. Alright, here's that other little cluster of showers and storms over here in portion of Iowa moving into Illinois. That will continue to rotate around. So you guys in Illinois, Indiana, maybe southwest Ohio, western and eastern portion of Kentucky, through central and eastern Tennessee, maybe upstate South Carolina. This system could rotate around. It may affect and also move into Georgia later on this afternoon and evening as it continues to rotate around that area of high pressure that's located right in this general vicinity here. We got scattered showers and storms over Michigan as well, and also scattered showers over portions of southern Canada, just north of the Great Lakes region, also in southern Canada there as well. We got scattered activity over portions of Wyoming, also back into portions of Missouri, also in Kansas, also through New Mexico as well. Some over here in portions of Utah, Wyoming, and Nebraska. Some up here portions of southwest Canada. Guam radar currently got a few scattered showers on the west side of you guys. Y'all look good though for now. Central and southern Alaska got a few scattered showers and storms there. Also around the Hawaii and Chain Islands got a few scattered showers and storms around you. And more scattered showers down here toward Mexico as well. All right, let's move on to the watches, warning, and advisories for your location across the nation. As you can see, we still got air quality alerts extending from a portion of Vermont through New York, all the way down to New York City, all the way down to Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Pennsylvania, all the way into portion of Virginia, West Virginia, you included, North Carolina, upstate South Carolina, around the around the Atlanta metro area, eastern Tennessee, up into portion of Kentucky, all of Indiana, all of Ohio, all of Michigan, northeastern and portions of Wisconsin, also northern portions of Michigan as well, eastern portion of Iowa, and much Illinois. We have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for you guys for that cluster of showers and storms you've seen on the satellite loop and the radar view. We got severe thunderstorm warnings ongoing in that watch box as well. All right, we got heat advisories in effect for portions of Kentucky. Also, we have a severe thunderstorm watch box also in effect for portions of West Kentucky for that other cluster of showers and storms you've seen moving through that region. Some flood advisories also for portions of Indiana. Also heat advisory again for for much of Missouri, eastern Kansas, also central and eastern Oklahoma, central and eastern Texas, southwestern Texas, southern New Mexico, southwestern Louisiana, southeastern portions of Alabama, eastern Alabama, a little bit there in the panhandle of Florida. Excessive heat warnings also in effect for western portions of Tennessee, also into portions of southeast Missouri, southern portion of Illinois, much of Arkansas, eastern portion of Oklahoma, eastern Texas, much of Louisiana there as well. We have flooded watches in effect for western Nebraska and eastern portion of Wyoming. Also, red flag warnings also in effect for portions of western Colorado. Excessive heat watches are in effect for southwestern Arizona, southern California. Also heat advisories and also heat warnings. Excessive heat warning in effect for central California. Flood advisories also in effect for portion of California. Northern California, southern portion of Oregon got a heat advisory there. Special weather statements are in effect for portions of Washington State, northern portion of Oregon, also over here in the mountain range of California, and also western portions of Nevada. We still had a river flood warning in effect for South Dakota, also over here in Nevada there as well, in portions of Nebraska also. Alaska looks good. Southern side of Hawaii and Chain Island got some gale warnings. North side looks a-okay. We have some tropical storm warnings in effect for western portion of Mexico there as well, and we have tropical storm Adrian in that vicinity off the coast of Mexico out into the Pacific Ocean. All right, we're going on to the storm predictions. You can see we still got those general thunderstorms from Maine back into portions of Vermont, also down into portions of central and southern Florida, including the Florida Keys, also down here in Louisiana, into upstate South Carolina, all the way into portions of the Great Lakes region, Ohio, also Michigan, Wisconsin, also into Minnesota, back to portions of Minnesota into northeastern Washington State, through Idaho, back into Nevada, and also Utah and Colorado, into Arizona, North Texas. We have a slight risk for severe weather for Mississippi through Georgia, all the way into Michigan, all the way back to Colorado and Wyoming area. Enhanced risk also in effect for portions of Colorado and Wyoming. Slight risk in the yellow here, extending from Nebraska through eastern Colorado, through portions of northern Kansas, southern Nebraska, all the way back into northern Alabama, also into Kentucky and Tennessee, back into portions of Iowa and Indiana and Illinois. We have an enhanced and a moderate risk over portions of Indiana, Illinois as well. All right, if you're in Springfield, Illinois, Pereira, Illinois, Decatur, Illinois, Champaign, Illinois, Bloomington, Illinois, you're in a moderate risk for severe thunderstorms this afternoon. Excuse me. St. Louis, Missouri, Louisville, Kentucky, Evansville, Indiana, Greeleyville, Kentucky, Bloomington, Indiana. You're in an enhanced risk for severe weather. If you're in Chicago, Illinois, Indianapolis, Indiana, Denver, Colorado, Nashville, Tennessee, Omaha, Nebraska, you're in a slight risk for severe weather. Also Columbus, Ohio, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Kansas City, Missouri, Atlanta, Georgia, Colorado Springs, Colorado. You are in a marginal risk for severe weather this afternoon. The tornado probability for this afternoon, we have a 2 and 5% over here in portions of Colorado, into portions of Kansas, Nebraska, and Wyoming. Also over here into portions of Missouri, Iowa, through Illinois, Indiana, or into portions of Kentucky there as well. And if you in Aurora, Colorado, Springfield in Illinois, Evansville, Indiana, Pereira, Illinois, Greeley, Colorado, you're in a 5% risk for a tornado. Also Indianapolis, Indiana, Denver, Colorado, St. Louis, Missouri, St. Louisville, Kentucky, and Aurora, Illinois, you're in a 2% risk for a tornado this afternoon or today. All right, winds 5% in the brown, extending from Georgia to Michigan, back to Wyoming and Colorado. 15% extending from East Colorado all the way back to northern Mississippi and Alabama, also up to Illinois and Indiana. We have a 15 and 45% risk over Illinois and portions of Indiana and Kentucky. And the significant severe weather, this includes Springfield, Illinois, Evansville, Indiana, Pereira, Illinois, Decatur, Illinois, and Champaign, Illinois. You're in that significant damaging wind threat over about 70 or 80 miles per hour wind gusts in that vicinity. If you live in Springfield, Illinois, Pereira, Illinois, Decatur, Illinois, Champaign, Illinois, and Bloomington, Illinois, you're in a 45% risk for severe damaging winds over 60 miles per hour, maybe up to 80 as well. If you're in St. Louis, Missouri, Louisville, Kentucky, Evansville, Indiana, Bloomington, Indiana, Lafayette, Indiana, you're in a 30% risk for some damaging winds. Also, Chicago, Illinois, Indianapolis, Indiana, Nashville, Tennessee, Omaha, Nebraska, Cincinnati, Ohio. You're in the 15% risk for severe weather and damaging winds. Also, if you're in Columbus, Ohio, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Denver, Colorado, Kansas City, Missouri, Atlanta, Georgia, you're in a 5% risk for damaging winds over 60 miles per hour. All right, hail. 5% in the brown from Mississippi, Alabama, all the way to Michigan, Wisconsin, back to over here to Wyoming and Colorado. 15% over here in portions of Kentucky, back to Missouri, including Indiana, Illinois. Also over here in portions of Nebraska, Kansas, and Colorado and Wyoming. 30% over here in portions of Wyoming and Colorado as well. This includes a significant hail threat will be Chicago, Illinois, Denver, Colorado, Royal, Illinois, and Napa, Illinois. You are in a significant severe hail threat with golf ball size hail, maybe up to baseball size hail possible in that region. 30%, Greeleyville, Colorado, Cheyenne, Wyoming, Brighton, Colorado, Evansville, Colorado, Windsor, Colorado. 30%. Chicago, Illinois, Indianapolis, Indiana, Denver, Colorado, St. Louis, Missouri, Aurora, Colorado. You're in a 15% risk for damaging hail. Also, Columbus, Georgia, Columbus, Ohio, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Nashville, Tennessee, Kansas City, Missouri, and Omaha, Nebraska. You're in a 5% risk for large hail and damaging hail as well. Let's go on to move on to day 2. Across the nation, you can see we got general thunderstorm from all the way from Maine all the way to the Florida Keys of Florida, back to Louisiana, back in the portions of Texas, back to Idaho and Montana, also up here in portions of the Great Lakes region, and also Michigan there as well. Marginal risk from North Texas through Colorado, all the way into West Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, northern Georgia. Slight risk extends from Illinois all the way into the western North Carolina mountains. If you're in Indianapolis, Indiana, Cincinnati, Ohio, Louisville, Kentucky, Lexington, Fayetteville, Kentucky, Knoxville, Tennessee, you're in a slight risk for severe weather on your Friday. If you're in Columbus, Ohio, Charlotte, North Carolina, Nashville, Tennessee, Atlanta, Georgia, Omaha, Nebraska, you're in a marginal risk for severe weather. Tornado probability, less than 2% in all areas. The winds, 5% in the brown from North Texas to the Carolinas, also up toward Pennsylvania and West Virginia. And then from Illinois over to the western North Carolina mountains. If you're in Indianapolis, Indiana, Cincinnati, Ohio, Louisville, Kentucky, Lexington, Fayetteville, Kentucky, Knoxville, Tennessee, you're in a 15 risk for severe weather. If you're in Columbus, Ohio, Charlotte, North Carolina, Nashville, Tennessee, Kansas City, Missouri, and Atlanta, Georgia, you're in a 5% risk for severe weather. For damaging winds. Alright, and hail, this is 5% from Illinois down to portion of North Texas. And if you're in Omaha, Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska, Del Mar, Iowa, Springfield, Illinois, and Pereira, Illinois, you're in a 5% risk for large hail. Alright, let's move on to day number 3. Alrighty, we have general thunderstorm from portion of Vermont through New York, all the way down to Florida, Florida Keys, back to Mississippi, back to Texas, all the way back to Idaho and portion of Oregon, a little bit over California, all the way back up to North Dakota, also over toward Wisconsin and Michigan as well. We have a marginal risk from portion of Texas through Oklahoma, all the way back into Georgia, south to the Carolinas, also back into toward West Virginia and Pennsylvania. We have a slight risk for portions of Missouri, all the way to portions of upstate South Carolina, western North Carolina, up toward Virginia and West Virginia. And if you live in Indianapolis, Indiana, Columbus, Ohio, Charlotte, North Carolina, Nashville, Tennessee, St. Louis, Missouri, you have a slight risk for severe weather on your Saturday. Alright, and if you live in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Kansas City, Missouri, Atlanta, Georgia, Tuscaloosa, Oklahoma, Wichita, Kansas, and surrounding areas, you have a marginal risk for severe weather. Probability for severe weather for your Saturday. We have a 5% in the brown, 15% in the yellow. If you live in Indianapolis, Indiana, Columbus, Ohio, Charlotte, North Carolina, Nashville, Tennessee, St. Louis, Missouri, 15 risk for severe weather. And if you live in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Kansas City, Missouri, Atlanta, Georgia, Tuscaloosa, Oklahoma, Wichita, Kansas, you have a 5% risk for severe weather on your Saturday. Alright, here we go. I ain't showed this in a while, so here's a look at the CIPS analog for severe weather over the next 8 days. And like I said, we got 10% risk on day 1 for down here in Portland, Mississippi. We have a 10, 15, and 30% extending from the Ohio Valley back into the plains, all the way back over to portion of the western United States, over to Colorado, Wyoming as well. Also in the portions of South Dakota, Nebraska, and Kansas, and portions of Oklahoma for a 30% risk and 15% risk for severe weather on day 1. So that pretty well lines up with the Storm Prediction Center at this time. Let's take a look at day 2 for the CIPS analog severe weather probability. Lines up pretty well with the Storm Prediction Center, what you've seen on there, all the way from Colorado, all the way down into New Mexico, Texas, also over towards Illinois, 30 to 15. We got 15%, 30% over portions of Kansas and Oklahoma, also over in Texas, New Mexico, and Colorado. We have a 15% extending all the way up into portions of Pennsylvania through South Carolina. We have a 30% and a 15% over the Appalachian Mountains, all the way into portions of Indiana, Illinois, Kentucky, and Tennessee there as well on day number 2. That pretty well lines up with what the Storm Prediction Center has got in the yellow. And this is day 3. We have a 10% in the yellow, extends all the way around it. We have a 15% over in portions of Kansas. Colorado, New Mexico, and also we're in Kansas, also back into Texas, 30% there as well. In Kansas and Oklahoma. Here's that big area of shower, big area here with the storm prediction centers you've seen on day 3. That's pretty well what's in line with them. Sent from New York State down into Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, and the 30% risk is over in portions of Kentucky, western North Carolina. All right, let's take a look at day 4. They did not have this highlighted in day 4. We have a 10% risk over in portions of South and North Dakota. Also over here in portions of Kansas through portions of Colorado. 15% in Colorado. 15% down in portions of Oklahoma and Texas. 15% in Arkansas, all the way into North Texas to the Carolinas, all the way to New York State. We have a 30% risk extending from Virginia through much of South Carolina, through Georgia, and then Tennessee and Kentucky for severe weather in your area for day 4. Day 5, pretty much the same areas. Pretty much the East Coast, United States. We got a 45% risk over portions of South Carolina and North Carolina coming up on day number 5. We have Wyoming and Colorado, Minnesota, also down into portions of North and South Dakota as well on day 5. Day number 6. Here it is again. Severe weather from all the way from the northeast down to Florida. 15% in the orange color, 10% in the yellow areas. 15% also in portions, much of Minnesota down to portions of Oklahoma, back into areas of Colorado. 10% in the lighter yellow. This is for day number 6. Day number 7. Pretty much the same thing from Maine all the way to Florida. Still got that 30% risk. 15% risk from the northeast down to Florida. We got 30% right over central South Carolina. Also 30% over portions of Colorado. 15% over here in Missouri, all the way into Colorado as well on day number 7. And day number 8. Still got 10% from the northeast to Florida, all the way back to Colorado, New Mexico. 15% also from the northeast down into central Florida through the Carolinas, back over to Illinois. Also over here in portions of Kansas. Also over in Texas, all the way into portions of Colorado and Wyoming there as well. 10% in the yellow areas there. We have a few 30% over Pennsylvania, Ohio there as well. Alright. Well, that's your severe weather outlook for the next 8 days. As you can see, it's going to be a stormy one over the next 8 days, so get ready. It's going to be a very active weather pattern. Okay, heat, humidity, combined with cooler air from the north trying to combine, and that's what's going to fire off all these severe thunderstorms over the next 8 days. Alright, well, I hope everybody enjoyed this video. Continue to stay safe and well. Enjoy the weather, because it's the only weather you got. Like these videos, share these videos, consider subscribing, and we will catch you back in the next one.